Welcome to the Goods from the Woods. My name is Rivers Langley, and today I'm hanging out in Emerald City, USA. That's right, Seattle, goddamn Washington, with three of their finest purveyors of ha-has. First up, immediately to my left, you know her, you love her, one of our all-time faves. It's our friend,
Andy Iwancio.
Welcome back to your home, Andy. Thank you for having us here and letting us do this. And sitting right next to her, our friend,
Derek Sheen.
Hell yeah, Derek in the house. And at the very end of the couch, last but not least, it's our buddy,
Emmett Montgomery.
Hell yeah. Well, it's great to be here. This is officially my second time in Seattle, and I feel like I've actually gotten the real Seattle experience in that I got to do stand-up, and also the last time I was here it was 95 degrees and there were zero clouds in the sky. So to actually be able to drive through the sort of misty, mold-inducing weather that is Seattle, Washington on a beautiful, whatever today is, which I don't know,
Tolkien-esque.
It's been fantastic. Yeah, absolutely fantastic. But, in the spirit of, the kind of gloomy weather of your beautiful city, I wanted to start this off in sort of a fitting way, and that is with an obituary that I found. This is from the Lafayette Journal and Courier out of Lafayette, Indiana, although it might be Lafayette. That's the one in where I'm from, or perhaps it's Lafayette. But at any rate, this is from their local paper, and I was just going to share this because this really, this touched my heart today as I was browsing the internet in Panera Bread in Renton. So tell me what you think. Here we go. Hello, I'm Gary. I am completely dead now. I was immediately like, fuck yeah, a guy wrote his own obituary, which is the only way to go, I am surprised that it took this long to happen. Throughout my lifetime, I had a long series of events and mishaps that should have killed me long ago.
Why does this sound like the beginning of a great movie? Like this is the voiceover.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm fucking dead now. Molly was dead, and so am I. Dead
It's like Sunset Boulevard. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
You're probably wondering how I got here.
Yeah, in this box.
The headstone is just made from scratched records.
He says, sometime during my grade school years, I was the second baseman on the most losing team in Little League baseball history, 0 for 20. I lost sight of a fly ball in the sun one day and got beamed right in the forehead. I guess that explains a lot later in life now that I think about it.
Jesus Christ.
I love it.
In my 20s, my sister's horse kicked me real hard in the guts. Any higher and my heart would have stopped. Any lower and I would have been singing soprano for the rest of my life. After about 10 minutes, when I was able to move again, I got up and knocked that stupid horse over the head with a 2x4 and got even with him.
It's nice when somebody provides all of the injuries they've had over the course of their life, so the autopsy knows what the cause of death is.
Oh, yeah. He says, I probably would have been locked up for animal abuse today, even though he started it.
It sounds like he's listing all of his near-death experiences, too. Like,
oh, yeah.
Boy, I have sure skated by some, but cancer finally got me.
I'm excited to find out how he died.
In my 30s, I got hit by a car when I was crossing the street. It was my fault as I was crossing against the light. It really knocked me hell-bent for election. But I got up, brushed it off, and went home with a torn-up coat. I was kind of sore. Lucky me.
This is exactly what he is saying at the pearly gates.
I've been hit by a car. Anybody else been hit by a car?
I got hit. I was 4 years old, and my brother pushed me into traffic, and I got hit by 3 cars, one after the other. The first was an El Camino, and then I went under its wheels, and the second and third cars ran over me.
Who was on the saxophone playing Boots Randolph at this time?
And it didn't kill me, but the guy came over to visit me in the hospital and brought the fender of his El Camino because I dented it so bad with my head. He was like, "You have to see this. It's amazing. You're not dead."
Oh, I thought it was like, "You see what you did, you little fucking
you little
jerk,
son of a bitch!" This cost me. My deductible went up.
Emmett, slow down. Derek, slow down. I need to get both of these down for your obituaries.
Right. This just reads like what if this was his suicide note? It's really cute and it's funny.
In my 40s, I was in the process of tearing down an old dilapidated building and was inside tying off a cable when the entire building crashed down around me.
God hates him.
I wish I had
Who is this guy, Buster Keaton?
I know, right?
No, it's very.
He said, a large brick chimney missed falling on me by about 10 feet.
I wish I had dilapidated building money.
I fell off a building once.
What? All right, we're just going to need to do your version of this now.
Yeah, well, I used to be a drywaller and sheetrocker, and I was doing some drywall on stilts, on scaffolding, and the previous day I had seen
Cirque du Soleil?
no, what was Kubrick's movie with Tom Cruise?
Oh,
in it?
Eyes Wide Shut.
I had seen Eyes Wide Shut.
So your eyes were open to the Hollywood cabal.
I was still processing it, right?
Yeah, sure.
And so as I was sheetrocking on stilts on scaffolding, I did not see the bucket. And I
God.
put one of my stilts in a bucket, and I fell.
Wait, you almost literally kicked the bucket?
Yeah. Well, now if I would have kicked it, I would have not almost kicked the bucket because it would have gotten on the well. But I stepped in the bucket.
Oh, shit.
Which
All right.
then led to me almost kicking the bucket.
Second Boots Randolph coming second.
And I
Randolph
fell back
sub-reference coming.
into a pile of sheetrock, which was fantastic, and it was just enough sheetrock because underneath that was just rebar.
Oh, fuck.
But I was able to
Jesus.
to get absorbed by that. And then my boss, Tim Fenton of Fenton Brothers Construction, one of the best bosses I've ever had.
Shout out, Tim.
And he's dead, but the only
Shout out, Tim, from Beyond the Grave.
well, I mean, he was a great
Still a plug.
Lutheran. He was the only Lutheran I had ever met in Utah.
He got hit by a car when he was 8 years old. But it wasn't until he took up archery that he really had a close death.
Yeah.
That's the unpopular sequel to the whorehouse in Texas.
One of my favorite things about him is his wife had cancer and she was going through radiation
What
treatment.
if you stopped right there?
And he, but she would come and bring us lunch sometimes, and she had just had the radiation, and he goes, I can't have sex with her because I'd get radiation poisoning. So.
Wow. Things nobody tells you.
I mean, wear a condom.
He came up to me. Oh yeah, latex is going to protect you from. There we go.
Doesn't it? I thought
He.
Because you could be like, you're not all the way in. Look, you can see an X-ray of.
He. It's X-rated, huh? He
I'm
came
writing
up
my suicide
and he's like,
note now.
Geiger, I barely know her.
He's like, "Are you okay? What happened?" And I was like, I was just thinking about Eyes Wide Shut.
Jesus Christ.
And he's like, well, maybe you shouldn't watch Kubrick movies before you come to work.
So he's almost hit by a chimney, and he says, by now I am beginning to think that there must not be any more room in heaven or hell for me. So I was just stuck in purgatory for a while longer.
Jesus Christ.
In my 50s, I got knocked down 19 stairs at my office by a couple 100-pound concrete-lined safe, which landed on top of me and pinned me to the floor. That one was the worst. I didn't get any body parts broken and no internal injuries, but I couldn't even pick up my own feet to get into bed for about a week. Thank goodness for pain-killing drugs. Then in my 60s,
He's in his 60s now.
I fell backwards off of a scaffold from 10 feet up and cracked my head on the concrete floor.
I identify.
But is this you? Yeah, this is future you.
What movie had he seen before? Does he?
Yeah, that's a good
What
question.
movie was he thinking about?
Well, there might be a slight hint at the end.
If this was a Paul Harvey, the rest of the story, I imagine it would end with like, and that man wrote the Final Destination series of movies.
So the fall to the concrete floor turned out to be a fortunate fall because it forced me to go visit my doctor, who I hadn't seen in 3 years. And while I was there, he determined that I had prostate cancer, but it was early enough to be treated. I had just dodged another bullet. But then, in my 70s, that treatment failed, and I had to get my prostate surgically removed. The surgery went well, but then I developed an internal leak that nearly killed me. One more close call later in life. I cannot tell you what sort of event actually killed me, as I wrote this obituary before I was completely dead. Someone else will have to fill in the details later, I guess. I really hate paying the Journal and Courier a lot of money just to let people who might be looking for me know that they can give up now. The chances are pretty good that you're not in my will anyway. Goodbye and peace. I am hanging up now. GHW. P.S. In accordance with my wishes, there will be no funeral. I don't want people coming by to look at me all dressed up and stretched out in an expensive box, as bad as I will probably look, in a completely dead condition. In lieu of flowers, please keep the money and take yourself out to a nice dinner or do something nice for someone else. Maybe after a while, some of my friends might get together and have a party on my behalf. I will try to remember to provide a full-size stand-up cardboard cutout of myself for the event.
Jesus Christ.
What
a hero.
I am pretty sure someone will want to claim it for a dartboard afterwards. And I love this guy, but then there's the PPS. I also want you to know that I didn't intentionally vote for a socialist during my lifetime, so I'm not the least bit responsible for the mess that America's in at the moment. Work hard like I did and pay your own bills. So,
Yeah, we're all glad he's dead.
yeah, it's sometimes you just gotta put up with people's stupid politics to get to the nice cherry.
Do we know how he died?
They did put like some addition, but it didn't say. Like his sister wrote like, "Oh, here's the details of the funeral," but she didn't say how he died. So,
What year was this?
2 days ago, this was published. Yeah. This is hot off the presses, and the sister didn't say how he died though.
You
Unfortunately,
notice he never brings up any of his accomplishments. Just all of this Debbie Downer shit.
Well,
where he's like, I almost got hit by a gas truck
Like-
when I was 7.
I cut out the part in the middle because it was boring, but he had some stuff. But
I
basically,
learned how to play piano at 23.
He owned his own like construction business, and he loved his sister, and he was married to a lady for longer than he expected to be.
Yeah.
So it
And
was
he woke up every day.
very much reminded me of last year we covered the story of Adolf Sax, who is the man who invented the saxophone, who survived death. I think it was like 15 near-death experiences before he was an adult. Like God really did not want the saxophone to happen. Yeah. And as a matter of fact, speaking of, and maybe the new woke pope will reverse this, but when the saxophone was invented, it was too smooth for the Vatican, and they were like, you cannot play the saxophone inside the Vatican City at all. So woke pope, if you're listening, I'm gonna need the sax back. We got to hear before you die. I better hear Careless Whisper echoing through the Sistine Chapel.
I mean, I'd get it if it was just a soprano saxophone. Then I'd be like, that makes sense.
That just keeps Kenny G, Seattle's own Kenny
Seattle's
G.
own Kenny G.
Yeah.
But a nice tenor sax solo. That'll
Not
win your
allowed
cockles.
in Vatican City. Not.
No.
Yeah.
No, he's waiting. He's like, hopefully.
My dentist was his roommate at UW.
What?
My dentist was Kenny G's roommate.
Holy shit.
And he was like, never left a sock on the door.
Well, you don't need to because you hear the saxophone before it happens. He has an audio sock.
Is the Vatican, now that they have a Chicago Pope, is the Vatican going to ban ketchup?
Ooh, Lord, let us pray.
Kenny G is kind of like if reborn Christians had their own Weird Al.
Yeah.
I've talked about it on the show before, but have you guys seen they did a series on HBO Max called Music Box, and they had an episode about DMX, they had an episode about Juice WRLD, an episode about Woodstock 99, an episode about Alanis Morissette, and an episode about Kenny G. And the Kenny G one is by far the one that I think about almost every day.
Not seen that one.
It is Andy's got HBO Max. We got to fire it up. First of all, he's like one of the first 5 investors in Starbucks, so he doesn't even need to do this shit. He's
just slinging smooth jazz for fun.
It's more disturbing than that because the documentary starts with every top jazz scholar in America speaking directly into the camera and talking about why he is wrong. You know, it's like the editor of the Village Voice jazz section and the fucking the dean of jazz at Harvard, and they're just like, you know, he's selfish. Jazz is a collaborative effort, and he's a soloist, and that he doesn't blah blah blah, and they're breaking it down why he's wrong. And then it just whip pans over to Kenny G sitting by his pool up on yonder hillside, and he just goes, I never said I was jazz. And that's how the movie starts. I was like, he's a type of villain that has never existed before.
Yeah.
When I first moved here, in 2002, there was an amazing punk rock drag show called Faux Bang that I would not exist as a performer without it. And it was super cool. So first, it would be this kind of Grand Guignol of drag with like weird sketches and this kind of totally John Waters-esque universe that would end with like a punk band or something. I saw the Gossip at this show before the Gossip existed.
Ursula Android and
Ursula Android and Jackie Hell.
Jackie Hell.
And Jackie Hell, who was kind of our bathwater divine, was just fantastic, would frequently get married to people that she would then murder. And Kenny G.
Wait, what?
Well, that is the sketches, right?
Oh.
Yeah.
Not in real life. Not in real
I
life.
was like, how does she keep getting away with
She
it?
was
In
a
fact,
real black widow.
One of
in the
my
drag community.
One of my first times on stage ever was that I got christened as her drag daughter because they needed heterosexuals to turn into drag queens, but as Champagne Cadillac, and then I got murdered by a hot dog. I think
sure.
that was the first time I was ever on stage in Seattle.
Whoa, all
but I saw, over the course of 3 years, I saw Kenny G in effigy get murdered like a dozen times.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, Kenny G would show up and then would get killed in various ways.
It was weird having him show up at the EMP grand opening.
Yeah.
That made no sense at all, by the way. He showed up in a limo, and I was like, why is Kenny G at this thing? Like,
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. EMP stands for Experience Music Project, and experience connotes sort of a passive thing.
this is true.
I don't think there is any artist that has been experienced more than Kenny G because, do you know this about his connection to the Chinese government?
Oh, please go on. No.
Oh, I want to correct you really quick.
Yes.
It's Experience Music Project. It is an act of violence.
I mean, first it looks like Disney threw up. And
So Kenny G is extremely popular in China, and one of the reasons is that he has a song called Going Home, and somebody in the CCP was like, hey, I like this tune, we're gonna play this at 5:00 when it's time to go home. And so if you're in Beijing and you've got a shop, it's like, how here they'll chime the bell 12 times at noon. There at 5 p.m., when you hear Going Home by Kenny G, it's time to pack up your shit and go. So everybody in China has this like Pavlov response of like, if you hear this song, it's like, well, my day's done. Like, I'm getting a little ready for dinner. I'm ready for din-din.
I like that China has its own closing time.
Well,
Yes, straight up. Yeah.
When the war with China happens, Kenny G will be our defense. As the Red Army is at the gates, it will just be Kenny G. We'll play it, and then everyone will be like, well, I guess we're done.
Yeah, they'll
lay down their guns.
They'll never nuke Seattle.
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys are cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, any non-Kenny G states, which is 49 of them, are not safe at all. But Washington, you guys are okay by
every government has
G.
their one. Every weird government has their one thing. Every kind, like France had Jerry Lewis, and then China had Kenny G.
Germany has David Hasselhoff.
Russia's got Steven Seagal.
Trump has the Village People.
Yeah, Trump has
inexplicably.
How did they all come out? Like, they've all come out so far and been like, no, we love this guy.
Oh yeah. Well, and also, furthermore, some of them have been like, yeah, we're not gay at all. That's my favorite part. You're like, okay, man, that's fine. You know what? That's okay.
The 80s were a weird time.
Be whatever you want to be. No one's judging you. But
I was telling Rivers about how I lived in have y'all spotted Kenny G? Or we were walking through my old neighborhood. I was telling him about spotting Dave Matthews and never seeing him. Now I'm going to be looking for Kenny G.
I saw him at the Fremont QFC once, and I've been on the bus with Dave Matthews.
Wait,
before.
QFC?
Quality Food Center.
Oh, okay, right on.
It's a grocery store.
I was thinking something fried chicken, and I was getting hungry.
I've seen Dave Matthews at the Upper Queen Anne, and then I've seen Kenny G at the Pike Place Market.
Damn, I was going to say, based on this documentary, the house that he lives in, it looks like it's on a mountain. Like, no one would ever get
no
to it.
idea
It's a
why he would
compound.
be down there. I've seen a few Seattle celebrities, but I've never seen Tom Skerritt.
I've been scared. I
wondered.
I've been scared it out of my mind.
You've been scared.
Who's the glass blower? Why am I
Oh, Dale
Chihuly.
Chihuly. I used to be a security guard in an art museum, and Dale Chihuly would come in, eye patch and all, and walk around the art and criticize it and make fun of it. And he was always dressed, he's so rich that he would dress like he was homeless, right? He'd have like the
torn up jean shirt.
The stained sweatpants that were strategically, the paint splattered sneakers, all of that. We had
all
a
that
term,
paint that you lose when you're doing glass blowing.
When he would walk in, we would have a code for him because we'd want the security guards to kind of follow him enough to listen to relay his critique. And so it'd be blowhard when he came in.
Ooh, nice.
It'd be blowhard, and then we'd find Chihuly, and we would and it's be like, and it's always like what they did wrong with the art and how he would do it. And he always had some attractive middle-aged woman with him, like a hot 40-year-old or whatever.
Doesn't he just blow glass, or am I wrong?
He doesn't even blow the glass anymore.
Well, you know what I mean, but like that's his medium.
Does a team. I'm going to say this though: if you, in fact, I said it today because I led a tour. If you're going to spend too much for something, do not do the space needle. Stand at the base of it, and then go look up through the glass floor into that overpriced restaurant, and then go to the Dale Chihuly Glass and Garden Museum because it's like stepping into another world.
Yeah.
It is. There's no question that he does this thing very well, which makes me think if he's so good at glass blowing, how good is he at hacky sack? Because from what I understand, those two really hold hands.
Yeah.
What he's good at is that I'd seen him at the movie theater, and I just saw him walking aimlessly, and then what I found out from my partner Linus worked at the movie theater, turns out Chihuly would just walk around movie hopping, and they would just let him go from movie to movie.
So he'd pay the matinee price and then just go in.
I joked that he was not going to see a 3D movie.
I find it funny that people are like weirded out by doing that. Like that was just what we did with my parents when I was a kid. Was like we went to the movie at noon and then we saw two at least.
Oh yeah, we would stick around all day. We would see multiplex.
I've gone with friends and I was like, oh, we should just walk over to this one, and they're like, no, we gotta buy another ticket. I was like, you fucking loser.
Doll monitor.
How'd your mom raise you? These movies are free after you pay for one. That's how this shit works.
I caught some kids doing that. When I saw A Quiet Place 2 back in my hometown of Orem, Utah, and there was a big giant movieplex in the mall just a few blocks from me, and these kids came and they were talking, right, and they were, and I big scary bearded guy. I'm like, it's called The Quiet Place for a reason, guys, and they're like, what are you gonna? And they're like, what are you gonna do? And it's like, well, I'm gonna go because they shouldn't have been there. They were younger than it was rated.
Wait, were you working there?
No, I was just saying, but they wouldn't shut up. They wouldn't shut up. They were loud.
Oh,
they were being loud right next to me, right? And I was there with my niece and nephew, and it's called A Quiet Place, right? You need those poignant moments. I'm okay with those kids, and I was that kid, but I wasn't like a jerk off, right? They were being jerk offs. They were being little kids. They were little blonde, entitled. They were going to turn into the worst type of man, right?
Yeah, okay.
And
I was still stealing from capitalists. So
do that. That's great. But learn how to be a silent criminal,
discreet.
right?
Discretion.
Learn how to take it from the inside out. And
they were just talking in a movie.
Yeah, but no, but they were
raid.
Well, here's the thing.
What are you, the Old Testament all of a sudden?
Yeah,
I mean, look at him.
Look at me. I am Yahweh. Feel my wrath. And so they're like, what are you going to do? And I'm like, I'm going to go and I'm going to tell on you.
Ooh, God.
And they're going to call your mom. And I'm going to tell your mom that you called me a fuckhead. And they got really quiet. They're like, well, they're not going to believe you. But we didn't. I'm like, they will believe me.
Because I'm John Smith.
Yeah. And they shut up and sat next to me.
It works.
Mm-hmm. Can I tell you one last thing about the Kenny G thing?
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
I want to say either the late 90s, early 2000s, he made an album, a duets album with Louis Armstrong,
What?
who has been dead for many, many years. And it made all of the fucking jazz critics so pissed because it's just Louis Armstrong music with Kenny G's horrible saxophone just dubbed into the background.
It's recordings. He took a dead man.
He took a dead man.
He dug up the grave of Louis Armstrong.
He did, yes. And then he put his soprano sax through his skull and then began playing. And
He pulled a Natalie Cole.
yeah, but that one's like, that's her daddy, whatever.
Yeah.
Who cares? With this, you're just like, so all the jazz people that they had interviewed at the beginning who just object to this guy just on the surface level are fucking pissed. And then they get to the very end of the movie, and Kenny G has acquired every single note of Stan Getz. And using AI, he and fucking Microsoft Bing have basically used AI to where he's sitting there in this like perfectly white control room, just like hermetically sealed at his mansion up the hill, and he's going, do you want to hear Stan play an A? Do you want to hear Stan play a E flat? And he begins necromancing the dead corpse of jazz great Stan Getz, and there's this moment, and this is like why I was like, if I'm writing a villain, I have to figure out a way to make a moment like this, because he's playing Stan Getz on the keyboard, and he just turns to the camera and looks straight at me. He just goes, "They're gonna hate this."
Is
he a government psyop to ruin jazz? Is that what he is?
the new Nightmare on Elm Street has Kenny G instead of using the veins of a child.
The Smooth Warriors.
Like,
The Dream Warrior.
Wes Craven's Smooth Warriors, dude.
I'll tell you, if I
Don't get in the elevator.
if I were
For
to find
God's
myself
sake.
in a dream state, right, in a nightmare, and there were two hallways. I was stuck in a hallway, and at one end, Freddy Krueger was there dragging his claw on the metal. While in the boiler room I'm stuck in, and then behind me was Kenny G. I would walk into those knife hands. I would just be like, "Here you go. Let me.
You have a choice, boy.
Teenage hell. Let me."
what does Kenny G do other than put you to sleep?
Yeah, exactly.
Ooh.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, he puts you to sleep. They use his music for billions of people to tell him to go home and eat some dinner and take a little sleep.
It really sounds like the mad plan of a person who is still stung from not getting acceptance in the jazz community.
Yeah.
Just like, I'm going to fucking ruin this for everybody.
Yeah, but
that's what we have in the White House right now.
I know.
That's exactly
That
it.
is what we have. At least here's why Kenny G is better than Hitler and Trump.
Oh, is it
Okay, here we go.
MKGE? Make
Yeah.
Kenny G great again.
So Kenny failed at jazz, right? Or whatever. And he's just like, I'm just going to ruin jazz. If Hitler was going to be like, I'm just going to ruin painting, the world would be different. And if Trump would have been like, I'm just going to ruin
the Met Gala.
the Met Gala. Yeah.
That's all he ever wanted was to be invited to the fight.
so
It's
bad,
his Anna Wintour's fault. I'm very convinced.
Every year he puts
never
on a
been
suit
invited?
of armor and he's like, this is the year, right? And they're like, don't come.
That's why he did it. That's why he did all that shit.
And Wintour.
It's because they always called him outer borough trash, and they would never let him into Manhattan society, and now he has to do this forever.
They all laughed at me.
They all laughed at him, and now he's going to be Richard Nixon's head in a fucking jar for the next 1,000 years. They'll find a way to do it.
Man.
Yeah. Jesus.
I hope he's the only president who dies farting down a flight of stairs.
19 stairs underneath.
So we did it.
I've just been sitting here waiting for me to scoop in with the callback to it. The Herald.
Oh, shit. He's just sort of part of the musical furniture of American culture. It's just wallpaper.
With Kenny G's music, what can you say?
How are you feeling?
Underappreciated in general. I don't think there's anything wrong with hard work. That's a hard lick, and I just played it really well. Putting in the reps and then reaping the reward of, hey, I'm really good at this. I think that's why my career's lasted this long.
Y'all, it is time for our heavyweight championship throwdown with low energy, folks. Oh boy, it's an epidemic. Speaking of epidemic sweeping across the nation, we got Kenny G and we got low energy. You know, the people are just not energized enough. So today, I stopped by a convenience store just outside of Portland, Oregon, and picked up today's ungodly concoction. Andy, why don't you go ahead and tell the folks what we got for them today?
It is Bang Energy.
Yes, it is.
The name of it is Any Means Orange. It's I enjoyed that it's almost Andy Means Orange was my cream cover band.
The official drink of ice.
Oh yeah. Oh, let's hold on. This is everybody's favorite part of the show. Please hold. Oh hell yeah!
Okay. I just need a sip. No. Okay.
Let's get ready to shit our pants.
I mean, we did already. Look at us. You know.
Hey, you know
We're-
we've been doing this since 2020, and I'm all clean, baby.
Don't chance it, double pants it. That's what I always say.
Oh my goodness.
Ooh, it smells very lovely.
It smells like Spirit Halloween. You know.
What you mean, like
You know, like the
you mean
latex.
it smells like poop?
No, like the unboxed animatronics, like that fresh.
Y'all must have a nice Spirit Halloween here in Seattle, because all the LA Spirit Halloweens is just children that have shit their pants running around.
Well, Seattle has 50% more dogs than children.
Oh,
And
sure,
So,
okay.
So we are nice and childless. So if you go to a Spirit Halloween, there's just a bunch of weird adults there.
Well, we got that in LA.
It smells to me like the candle section of a Home Goods.
Oh, yeah, there's a little bit of that.
Have you-
Does smell like the scent,
man.
the scent that you would put on to cover up something terrible.
it is. It's the poop spray. It's like
It is the
yeah,
poop spray.
It's the
Okay.
poop spray.
When you've got to be up all night writing your suicide note,
Are we
Bang
supposed to
energy
taste
drink.
this together, or can we?
Oh
taste
yeah.
it now?
Well, I was just gonna ask if you guys have any Bang experiences.
Yes.
Have you fucked with Bang Energy before?
This
I have
is
fucked with Bang Energy.
This is my
wife,
first Bang.
Oh wow.
taking some long road trips, that's her first go-to every time.
It's
And it's the cotton candy one.
Ooh, wow. All right, let's try this one. Any
this is-
means
ooh.
orange.
It just sounds so militaristic.
Oh my goodness. Oh shit.
Any means orange.
Bang solved their weird aftertaste problem, it seems like.
Yeah, usually has this medicine-y...
Well, no,
Like-
it's got the weird creatine, like chalky kind of aftertaste. And you know what? Well, it's because
It tastes like the fluoride washes they give you as at the dentist, right?
Yes, still fucking drinking it,
with
though.
like the fun. I took a sip. That was enough for me.
I'm still going because it's in my hand.
I know.
Please take it away. I'm so sorry.
I feel like I should take one more sip so I can be
just to
strong.
be even.
Yeah.
We got to, on the ride home.
yeah, get a little zazzed up
well,
there, Emmett.
Derek brought me a Dr. Pepper, and so I'm already full of the Dr. Pepper.
So Bang is now being distributed by Coca-Cola. They got they were for a long time claiming to be the one and only proprietors of something called super creatine, which doesn't exist, and that is false advertisement. And they were basically going up against Monster at one point, which is Coca-Cola's thing. Their CEO is a guy. Look for his HBO or Netflix documentary coming soon.
Oh, God.
Jack a Walk is his name.
There's I don't know if it was orchestrated or not in the TV show How To with John Wilson.
That's right.
He has an episode where he runs in. He like just happens.
There's
upon
hot. Well, no, it starts there's because Jack a Walk's thing was he would get like hot girls in like either bikinis or yoga pants to like hand out bangs on the beach in Florida, and he gets one from one of these girls, and then like goes back to like where this guy lives, and he's probably in his 60s, and every woman there is under 25, and you're just like, there's gonna be a movie.
I think there's also just a kid's birthday going on, but the models are still there.
Oh yeah, it's fucking crazy.
It sounds like the plot of a Ronan Farrow editorial. It's being written as we speak.
Oh yeah, but no one reads, so it'll have to
Yeah.
be a movie before anyone realizes it. Just like the Ronan Farrow.
Ronan Farrow movie.
Yeah.
Who's playing him?
Oh, Jack-a-Walk? I'm going to go Luke Wilson, but they have to like age him up and they have to thin out his hair. But that's kind of who I'm going for because I just want to see him come back, you know?
I think John Hamm could do it, but he's got to. probably fall down some stairs.
He's goofier than that. That's why I went with Luke. It's not Owen. I was like, because Owen's a little more handsome and Luke's a little weirder looking. So you kind of need to go, something like that.
Luke's a little more busted up
for Jackawalk. Yeah, but this
it might be psychosomatic, but I'm feeling the bang.
You feeling the bang?
I do not do energy drinks.
Oh wow, yeah,
at all.
And
right?
and it's
what
kicking?
Is this? Is there taurine in there?
There's
No.
300 milligrams of caffeine.
Okay.
There is,
I mean, I'm a coffee boy.
It's got the CoQ10. It's got the
there's a tingle that just goes up the back of my neck around my C6.
Well, I feel kind of
there's where that
the aftertaste at the back of my mouth, right? There.
Yeah.
It's almost like the fumes of that are going through my palate and into my brain. This is an echo of that one time I huffed gas.
Really?
In 1995.
Oh shit!
only once.
Only once.
Only once.
I did it for a while.
Yeah.
Fun stuff.
Damn, lacquer.
Well, not
heads.
gas though. Paint thinner was my.
I didn't really realize I was huffing gas. It was just a thing that people were doing.
I just had my nose in a fucking car.
It was like check out this bag, right? Like we're doing this fun thing.
Okay. Mine was the same with a keyboard duster. I did it purely for comedy purposes because it lowers your voice about 6 octaves. And when we were in 8th grade, we go like, "Oh my fucking god!" We thought that was so funny, and then later found out like, "Oh, people have like an issue with this." Like we were doing drugs. I just thought it was fun.
I'm walking on sunshine.
Yeah. Oh my god, one of the best episodes of television ever. Allison, my god,
ever.
I miss my father. God.
There were 2 burnouts that would work at the office supply store in the mall just for all the shit they could huff, right?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
And sometimes they'd be super high.
Toner.
You'd bring something to the counter and they'd be like, "Do you know how much this is?" And so I'd be like, $5. And then I'd walk away with a whole bunch of stuff for art.
The wildest huffing that I'd seen, I was on the bus and I saw a lady openly huffing things, and she was doing it almost to just like dare people to react. And she had like a bag of huffing stuff. She would huff
HR huffing stuff. Yep.
She would huff it, kind of nod off for a second, laugh to herself, drop the can of whatever she was doing. The bus would drive, the can would roll up the entire bus. Then she would just be out for a second, and then she'd wake up, and then by like some brilliance of God, the can would come rolling back.
Like Thor's hammer.
She would grab it, laugh, and then hit it more.
THOR huffing stuff. Holy shit. Oh my god. Well, what are we giving this out of 5? I'm gonna say I would, because like I said, my problem with Bang was always that it had this strange kind of chalky aftertaste, which can be attributed to the quote-unquote super creatine, I believe. So the fact that Coca-Cola has given this a little rebrand, and I'm going to give this like 4 out of 5. I would drink again. What do you say, Andy?
I'm giving it a 2.5 out of 5.
Yeah.
My favorite thing about it is the Ultra CoQ10. I work at a vitamin store. The nutritional supplement CoQ10, you would need to drink a month's worth of this to get any benefit from CoQ10. You
It's like a
need to
daily
introduce
supplement.
it. Yeah. I enjoy when it puts it on. That, and I once somebody called it Kakio.
I need the Kakio. What do you say?
I mean, I'm going to say, despite the fact that I did enjoy the flavor, but I also occasionally enjoy Oakley wraparounds, that this is exactly what I would say a 5.
Yeah,
especially if I'm doing one of those, one of my non-police stakeouts that I just like to do. I pick somebody out and I just follow them home and sit outside their house. This is an all-night thing.
Just give them a little scare.
Yeah. I just want to know their story. But this is exactly what I would drink. That or the bubblegum one.
Bang energy drink, the official drink of Stone.
Yeah, I was gonna say I've never seen this film. I just saw the trailer a bajillion times, but the Johnny Depp, John Turturro film, Secret Window, where he comes up and just goes,
"You stole my story."
And My friends and I just said that to each other throughout most of the year 2003.
Was that a Stephen King
It
one?
was a Stephen King
And it
one.
was-
Like I said, I've never seen it. I need to hit up. I actually have I've got onto this. Shout out to Kevin if you're listening in Ireland, a podcaster in Ireland who listens to our show. I was like, we should watch The Secret Window because we talked about it on his show. So hey, hit me up. Let's do it sometime soon. Yeah, what are you saying about 5 out of 10?
My tongue feels
or out of
bigger.
5 rather.
My tongue feels bigger, but not like physically, but it's like spiritually. Right? And honestly, this is my first Bang experience, so I have nothing
Bang experience, please.
to Bang experience. My first Bang experience, so I have nothing to compare it to, and so
All right.
it's just like. I think that the first hand job you get from somebody is probably the worst hand job, but it's
hand
still
experience.
at that point your first hand experience.
Yep.
I like
That is a 5-star, right? Because I am an optimist. and
Okay,
so-
good. Hope springs eternal.
Yeah, so
hope
this
bangs
is,
eternal.
this is my first Bang experience. So I'm gonna say full on 5 stars, but
Wow.
I am giving it a 4-star window of regret.
Okay,
so I
all
bet
right.
it will probably degrade. But honestly, I do hope, based on my experience today, that this is my best.
Okay.
Bang experience, and
Yeah.
also my worst one, because I want it to be my only Bang experience.
Okay.
I think if your tongue really is like spiritually full, I think we can endorse the next Bang energy drink with an Emmett Montgomery quote. It is TM in a can.
Well,
Yeah.
like it's there.
Or
it's
all- that
That
meditation.
stands for too much.
Clear eyes, full tongue, can't lose.
I don't know. I think it's a little
Full
overwhelming.
tongue. I do like that you were like, oh, sometimes it might have opened a window to something later, and I'm like, but that's the thing is when you're on an
secret
energy drink,
window.
if God opens a door, also open a window, all the windows, open all the windows, and also
But
let's
you know
turn
what?
on the music.
If
really
God
loud,
tries to
and
come
let's
in,
turn on
I'll
the
punch him
shower.
in the fucking face.
Fucking murder
This is
you.
my house, God. Quit fucking with my doors and windows.
Why don't you turn the heat up once
come
in a while?
I will castle doctrine you if you come into my house.
Why don't you turn a light
Yeah.
off once in a
Give
while?
me some
God?
more of that Bang. I want to fight God.
Hey, that's
Bang!
your can now,
You'll
bro.
want to fight God.
Well, so the website says dive headfirst into a world of unapologetically bold citrus flavors and a refreshingly zesty kick that'll wake up your taste buds for a refreshing twist on your drink game.
Isn't that what the Nazis said?
But I wanted to bring attention to the name of it because it is called Any Means Orange. And this is Bang's first collaboration. They've been running for years with their weird ass flavors, but this is an actual collaboration with a group of people. Are you guys familiar with the Any Means Possible guys?
No.
No.
So, Any Means Possible, they are a content group. And according to the thing I read 5 minutes ago, they are 6 guys, and 2 are financial advisors. 1 is a video editor, 1 is a guy they shit on, and 1 is another guy. And then there's Kai Cenat.
Who's Kai Cenat?
So Kai Cenat is the most popular streamer in the world. So he is a guy who sits on Twitch. He plays video games. He has celebrities over to his house. He did like a month-long residence in Los Angeles where he had like Kevin Hart and there was a shitload of like A list people that just came to this guy's house because he has more viewers than most television.
I believe that he was in the Royal Rumble this year.
That's I Show Speed, but Kai
I
Cenat,
Show Speed, okay.
I Show Speed was in the Rumble. He's the guy that got his shit rocked by Braun Breaker.
Yeah.
Kai Cenat was in the audience.
Oh, okay.
And he was watching because he's smarter than Speed, because Speed was like, oh, I'll sign up to have a gigantic man cut me in half.
I didn't know until recently somebody that like people take care of Airbnb houses like as part of like a corporation.
Yes.
And I didn't know that these content houses will often just like ruin a fucking house and then not pay for any of the repairs, and
Yeah.
they will chase after them for like a bill for forever.
Back to the Trump thing. They learn from the best. Don't pay these fucking people. Just run away and make them chase you in court. But yeah, that was how it was like kind of described. It was breaking down because I've heard of Kai Cenat. through my job, and the hilarious moment when right before Family Matters dropped, Drake texted Kai Cenat and told him to stay on stream so that everybody could see him tear apart Kendrick. And then, of course, the song comes out 24 minutes later. Meet the Grams comes out, and Kai Cenat's like, wait, he dropped again? And there's this great moment where he has to listen to it. And despite the fact that he's friends with Drake, cannot hide his face that his friend is done. It's very funny to watch.
I gotta watch that.
But the other funny thing, so I do tours of Hollywood. I kind of stopped showing this house to people because most people didn't really give a shit about this guy for a long time. And then I was some news happened about this time last year, and I was like, oh, I guess I have to add Diddy's house back to the tour. And Kai Cenat rented out a house in Los Angeles for a month where he was on stream literally for an entire month straight, like filming himself sleeping on stream for an entire month. The most notable part is where the rapper Kodak Black showed up on every drug in Los Angeles, and people are just in the chat. And normally the internet is horrible, and it's just people being mean. It was a lot of people just being like, "We need to get this guy help. Like he needs to go to a home." So Kodak's doing a little better, I think. But at any rate, Kai Cenat inadvertently, the house that he rented out for that month was directly behind Diddy's house. So when I do my Hollywood tours, if I have like younger people on the tour who know this guy is, I'm like, see that chimney? That's Kai Cenat's house. And they're like, what? I'm like, and that one's Diddy.
We got another doorbell ring. Let's see what's at the door. More misdeliveries of baby oil.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, that's my favorite part is being in the van, just being like, yeah, that's where the machine guns and the baby oil was. And everybody's like, whoa. And a lot of times the kids want to get out and take pictures in the driveway and like write funny shit on Instagram. I'm like, go for it. It's hilarious to me. But
one of my neighbors, I live in a great building where we all take care of each other. And we do have a neighbor who is going through terminal breast cancer, right? And we take care of her. And, we help her with her packages, and sometimes we invite her to the courtyard and watch all the tiny dogs run around. Last time I checked in with her, she was like, I'm fine, there's a treatment to kind of kick the can down the road. But she's like, my worry is I keep watching the Diddy trial. And she's like, I don't want this to be a big part of my life, the rest of my life, right? She's like, I can't stop watching it. And there are other things that I should be doing, but this is how I'm spending my time right now.
A close 6 degrees of separation to the Diddy trial. I would say I'm 2 degrees of separation because the sketch artist who is sketching the trial right now also is good friends with Dan Schlissel from Stand Up Records in Minneapolis. And did a court sketch of, we did a festival in Acapulco a few years ago, and she came and did courtroom sketches of everybody there.
Oh, shit.
And there is a courtroom sketch of Diddy, and behind Diddy is this frazzled old Jewish man who is just a pencil sketch behind him, and it's Dan Schlissel.
That's so
who is just, you can tell when you see his head, you're like, that's fucking Dan, even though she didn't really draw his eyes, she just drew like caffeinated lines.
Yeah. Oh, God, that's so fucking cool.
It's so awesome.
Damn.
He was like, I was right there behind him.
Has anyone done that for an album cover? That's a great idea for an album cover.
I don't think so. It's a great idea, but she's super famous. She did the Gambino trial and Sammy the Bull Gravano and then a bunch of dumb comedians in Acapulco.
That's so cool.
That is all criminals.
All criminals.
The last little detail I wanted to tell you guys about the Any Means Possible gang is that while Kai Cenat is far and away the most popular of the group, member Duke Dennis did coin or at least popularize the term Riz. So you're welcome, America. The reason your kids are so irritating, if you wonder where this shit's coming from.
I love it. I love new language. I love it.
I do too. Oh yeah, absolutely.
We had some weird shit when I was, I'm 55, so like we definitely had weird language that nobody could get used to, and we were like, this is our own thing.
Yeah.
And then 10 years later, the millennial kids that were coming up had their own thing, and we were like, this language is dumb. This is stupid, making up your own language. And none of us will understand each other in a nursing home.
It's beautiful.
I mean, we're all going to be asking for things in the same language, but different words. And 9 different words for mashed potatoes.
Yeah. I just like how quickly I, at this point, can identify something that gets said like that, where I'm like, you will not be able to say that in like 5 years because shit moves way quicker
You'll
now.
date yourself, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Like I've been doing that tour guide job so long. I remember when people were doing the dab thing in front of the Hollywood sign, and I'm like, that was 9 fucking years ago.
Well, I'm hoping people understand that Riz is a slur, and it's not a slur.
I was gonna say it's short for charisma, right?
We're gonna call it the other R word in the future.
Okay. I mean, I was like, for a second, I was like, have I been wrong this whole time? I thought it was short for charisma.
Don't you dare call me a Riz gender male,
yeah.
please.
I'm Riz gender.
I'm Riz gender.
However, feel free to always say, "Let him cook." That is,
Yeah,
I am
let him
all
cook
for
it.
that.
See, that's one like bomb that could come back.
Yeah,
like,
that
this is bomb. You know, these chicken nuggies are bomb. You know, we don't say da bomb anymore. Just bomb.
No, just bomb.
So maybe it could come back.
Dope is coming back.
See, I never stopped.
I always said.
Yeah, I know. I could see by the track marks there that you're just still
Yeah.
living the dream.
I'm still chasing that dragon. Baby.
There we go.
That dragon, his name is Y2K.
Rivers Langley, the William S. Burroughs of podcasts.
I believe Kenny G just isn't Chaz because he hasn't done dope.
Yeah. It's a good
Actually,
point.
has Kenny G done drugs?
It seems like no.
No.
He's
he's that creep.
He is
My
a pilot.
goodness.
He has his pilot's license. He is a golfer. And his whole thing is he's like, when I start to suck at something, I quit. So throughout the documentary, he's just like this, pretty good amateur golfer. And then he like the pro-ams that come through Seattle, he like goes lower and lower in the rankings. And he's just like, I'm done with golf, to the sky. And then he becomes a pilot. And I don't know, I guess when he crashes the plane and fucking lives, he's going to be like, I'm done with this. Baking.
That's the only way you can be bad at flying.
No, it's true.
Well, I'm not great at flying.
Is it? You could pull a Sully or something.
Yeah. Or Harrison Ford.
Well, then
Yeah,
he's
you can
really
Harrison
good at
Ford it.
flying.
Yeah. There are 2 gray-haired men inside of you. Are you Sully or are you Ford?
Butter sculpture.
Oh, there we go. Yeah, and this is the perfect climate for it too.
Kenny G doing butter sculpture to his own music.
I like that he still has that kid thing like we have growing up where you're like, I'm a genius at something.
Yeah.
So I'm going to try everything. Close up magic.
And I'm the 6th investor in Starbucks, so I can afford to do that.
Ultimate Frisbee. I'm done with this.
Yeah. Well, shout out to the good old Any Means Possible gang, which isn't it any means necessary? Like that's any means possible. So I guess it's so it'll make the word amp, like we're fucking amped
Oh
up.
my
But-
goodness.
But still, come on.
I am.
think-
Oh boy, am I?
I just moved my head and the room stayed. Like that's the room stayed still. and
I'm
I-
going to.
Your head
maybe,
is a gimbal now.
maybe I should finish the rest of this can. Fully open the door in my head.
Hey,
and then go after these
Great,
enemies
I have
possible.
a mouth and I can scream.
Yeah, there we go.
yeah, you got to bang on the doors
My
of perception,
tongue,
brother.
My tongue is so large. Spiritually large.
Yo! Drake just text me! Drake has officially said, stay on stream. Family matters.
A few moments later.
Kendrick, what? Kendrick, drop your lying. You're lying, bro. You're cap. You're cap. Oh my god, he did!
Emmett and I share a kinship that we've mentioned. We are both tour guides. And
We are.
I sat down. I was like, I got to figure out because I got to, I don't want to talk too much trade, but I want to hear some weird Seattle stories, and I've got a few that I picked out because this just kicked off by the fact that when I was looking at just general search terms for like weird facts about Seattle, more than 20% of the documented serial killers in the world are from a 200-mile radius of where we're sitting right now.
I get it, man.
So we'll start there. What's going on here?
I mean, thank you for assuming I know about serial killers. I will say,
I'm sitting right here.
yeah. Well, I'll say this: my wife has a master's in criminology, and she went to school to be a medical examiner. And so my house is full of books about serial killers.
Oh, shit.
And puppets. And because I'm a puppet enthusiast.
And we have a calliope that's being played by a haunted monkey.
But we had my buddy AJ Finney, who's a great comic based out of Denver. He stayed with us. I didn't know him, but he needed a place to crash for the competition. And he full on called his wife, like, I don't know if I'm going to make it, because he saw the books of serial killers, my unicorn costume I used to do stand up in, puppets, and he's like, this is not the place to go. But the thing about Ted Bundy is, he went to high school here, so you will...
People don't know the real him. That's the issue.
Well, I was at a party, and we started talking about Ted Bundy, and there was a guy there, because, that's one of the icebreakers at Seattle parties.
Of course.
And there was a guy there, and he was like, my mom had such a crush on him in high school. They went to high school together. And he said, when they executed him, right? She made us watch like the news reports and stuff, and she had a party.
Oh my god!
Because they were like, "Fuck that guy." He didn't. He had his chance. Kind of thing.
Yeah. Damn.
And my beautiful Aunt Kathy, who lives in Chicago, because he came to Utah, right? And he tried to abduct her off the BYU campus.
Whoa! Holy shit!
But like the Ted Bundy is everywhere. I was on a train from Portland to Seattle, and I sat down next to a lady, and she starts talking to me, and she talks about how when she was pregnant, some guy tried to haul her into a car, and he's pretty sure it was Ted Bundy. Whoa. So Ted Bundy has been a ribbon through my life.
Holy
and so the
shit.
fact,
So
Dante's, remember that bar that burnt down where Ted Bundy used to play pool at?
They actually, for the longest time at Dante's, they actually had a memorial to, they had next to the pool table. They had all of the articles
and the picture of him playing pool there.
A memorial.
What's what I'm looking for, but like
a historic plaque.
Because he picked a lot of victims up there.
And the people who danced, the people who helped catch the Green River Killer.
Oh yeah,
which was Kate's old boss at the medical examiners.
Wait, Gary Ridgway was her old boss?
No, the people who the forensic guys.
I was like, I thought he worked alone.
And what it was, how he was caught. There was a woman who was working at the medical examiner's office who was keeping samples of these murdered sex workers, even they were like, we don't have the budget to keep it on. And she defied. She could have gotten fired, but she kept the DNA evidence and but they danced at my wedding.
Oh, no shit.
So also one of the stars of Deathbed, the bed that eats people, was there too.
My mom and her boyfriend used to drink at the Gold Nugget in Tukwila, and they actually called the tip line more than once because they were like, this guy's definitely the Green River Killer. And
Yeah.
We'd have beers with him, and Arnie, her boyfriend, was like, I've been to his house, and he's got a fucking pickup that he hides under branches and foliage.
Yeah.
And they called. They're like, he's definitely the Green River Killer. They're like, thanks for calling.
I did
at a certain point with that case, you're like, this is the cop's fault. It's not even Gary Ridgway's fault at this fucking point.
And they were like, yeah, we knew it was him.
Yeah, and Gary Ridgway's a fucking idiot, too. He was not good at this. The cops were just that bad.
I did a show with John Keister, who was the star of Almost Live, which was kind of knockoff SNL here that is really beloved. And we did one in Renton. It was in a bar in Renton. And he goes, hey, it's the best opener I've ever heard. He goes, hey, did any of you guys work with Gary Ridgway? And there were some just old codgers in the back that were like, yeah. And he's like, what was it like? And like, he was a creep. And I'm like, yeah, I heard that. I heard that you guys used to call him Green River Gary because everybody thought he did it. And somebody laughs and goes, yeah, so true. And so serial killers.
Yeah. That's fucking amazing.
I just to double back at the Dante's thing. It wasn't just that they had memorial plaque. There was one booth. I would DJ there. And there was one booth we would call the Ted Bundy booth, and we'd just stare over at the dance floor. But there was different guesses. Like, he had a table. So he had a table he would go and sit at. And there's all these different guesses about it, but
the Bundy Bang experience.
The word I was looking for was not memorial, shrine.
Shrine, okay.
Shrine was much more the. And now they salted the fucking ground when they took that bar down.
Oh, is that right?
First they literally salted the earth and then put rocks on top of it.
Holy shit.
Like, just to kill the memory of that place.
I like that they were like, oh, we could put a park here. No, fuck you.
I don't have too much info on any like serial killers, but me and my partner Linus, we lived in a house we lived in an apartment that was like an efficiency, so it was like not a lot of room in the kitchen, so we'd like have to like kind of scooch past each other, or like wee people, but our butts would touch. And so then we started calling it, we would say it's Butt Touch Kitchen, but we kept calling it BTK.
Oh my God.
So my wife, when she was a autopsy tech, when we started dating, she would court me with facts. And one of the things, we'd be, cuddling, we'd be rolling around, and then there'd be a break, and she'd go, if you murder somebody, do not bury them here in the Pacific Northwest. And that's what that's how they because it preserves them.
Yeah,
what you want to do is you want to dump
a lie in the soil. Right?
Yeah, you want to dump a body on a logging road.
Yeah.
Because they will the insects and the other organisms and the moisture will make them completely unidentifiable. But if you are dumping a body in the desert, you don't leave them out there because they'll be mummified. But if you bury them, just by the statistics of just geography, if you bury them, the wind, the terrain will change. There'll be no mark that something's buried.
Arid and humid.
And I am married to that woman for 15 years.
All right.
So our big debate, though, is if the argument that we have at the house a lot is, and it's after we saw the movie Trap, starring Sir Josh Hartnett, is if one of us found out the other was a serial killer, would we turn that person in? And I said, yeah, of course, because you lied to me. And she goes, oh, so it's not unconditional love?
I would still love you.
Yeah.
But you're also gonna be a book deal.
No,
I realize
that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm gonna ride it out as long as I can until it gets real weird. Then I'm like, it's how I'm gonna get a Netflix special. Yeah. It's a documentary.
My Life with Kate Montgomery.
Yeah.
This was something else I found out. Hiroshi Yamauchi, the third president of Nintendo, bought the Seattle Mariners in the early 90s despite never having seen a game of baseball. He died in 2013 without ever attending a game. Shout the fuck out, dude. That's the most baller shit I've ever heard. I want to buy some shit in Japan I don't understand and then just never go. Like,
well,
awesome.
Nintendo of America is based here.
Yeah, that's right. So. Yeah, but it says surely he's been to the city before, and he was just like, "Oh yeah, that thing I own. I actively hear it happening." And no.
Well, we have negligent sports owners everywhere. Howard Schultz, gave away our basketball team.
Oh yeah, I've heard about that.
I do have a lot of Starbucks thoughts too.
Oh yeah, let's go into it. Yeah, hit me with the what?
Well, so I am a tour guide out of Pike Place Market, which is one of the coolest places in the city. But people know it for the quote unquote first Starbucks.
And I forgot to bring my giant fish that we could throw.
Well, the fish throwing guys are fantastic.
Yeah,
and there's some real poetry in how they do that. And it's
that's the other thing people know it for.
And then the gum wall, which is
which is disgusting.
Probably could have had Ted Bundy's DNA on it.
Yeah,
but
the one thing that I wanted to tell you, that we were walking by it, and you were, or we didn't walk by it, but you asked it. I didn't tell you this fact that they shave the wall.
Yeah,
so that it builds back up.
They steamed, all.
Yeah, they pressure wash it about once a year. So if you saw it, Did you see it recently?
No, I've never been.
Okay.
They have a smaller version at San Luis Obispo down in California.
Oh, that is that more narrow. I think it's the longest
It is
gum wall.
And
it's on each side of you, right?
The smell in there is like
oh
It's
yeah,
just bad breath.
It gets bad, and
it's an abscess museum.
Yeah,
you know?
it's fucking awful.
but they do like they just pressure washed it in November.
Okay.
And I had a group down there today, and they like just the so many so many emotions on these people's faces. And then when I told them that they were just looking at 6 months of gum, you could see like part of their love for humanity die.
It's like when they clean it, it's like a giant prostate exam.
Yeah.
You know?
I was there in 2015 for when they first cleaned it.
Yeah, I
So I had a
remember
meeting
that.
there, and it looked like a sci-fi movie.
It was
people
crazy.
in hazmat suits lasering down thick rolls of
Because it had been like since the 80s or something.
1991.
Crazy. Oh, okay, yeah,
is when it started. So
They, I think the wildest thing is that like, it's not just that there's gum on the wall. Some people chew a whole bunch of gum,
Right.
and then they sit and
make
spell
stuff-
out
they
letters.
spell things. And when I became a tour guide to run tours through Pike Place Market, you have to take like a quiz and say that you're going to say certain, that you're going to stick to the facts, and kind of it's almost a loyalty oath and a code of conduct.
Yeah.
But one of the things you sign is an agreement that you are not going to have gum on you, and that you are not going to encourage people to put gum on there. But there's really mixed feelings. There's some people that want the gum wall gone entirely, but it is unkillable because
Right.
Those are
they
the same people
clean
that
it.
don't want dancing to be legal.
Oh, well, it's the same people that tried to get the fish guys to stop throwing fish, right?
Yeah.
What?
But there's a real reason why they throw fish.
And all shirts should be buttoned to the top collar.
Right.
yeah, it's
I'm gonna drive Kevin Bacon right out of this town.
Footloose was filmed in my hometown.
Oh, in Utah?
In Utah, yeah. Well, Provo High was the high school he went to.
Wow.
And the kids that are dancing at the prom and everything, like their secret prom,
Yeah.
those are not dancers. Those are kids.
Yeah.
People who live there. And so it was a generation before me, but my friends' older brothers and sisters, some of them were in that movie as dancers.
Oh,
right?
no shit.
And I remember that one of my friends, his sister was one of the dancers. So she would babysit us sometimes and just make us watch Footloose over and over again so she could go, look, that's me. Look, that's me.
Wow.
Yeah. So thank you. I love a good podcast that uncorks trauma.
Oh yeah. What's your Starbucks thoughts?
Well, it's kind of, I'll bring people, and it's not the first Starbucks. The original Starbucks burnt down in a fire, which is how most things burn down.
Yeah,
and it was allowed to move into the market, kind of bending the no chain store rules, because Pike Place Market, no corporations are allowed. It's a great way to connect to the local economy. It's beautiful and weird, and so there's been some times where I was like, I want to just be a force for evil. When I do the reveal of that's not the first Starbucks, that's the third or the fifth.
Do you get a little thrill from saying that?
Sometimes,
Yeah.
especially if one of my tour group, if they're holding Starbucks, like if they had waited an hour for that.
Oh, yeah.
I go, my apology. But sometimes, there'll be like a family next to this tour group, getting that selfie with the logo and everything. And I'll say it, and you could see them just, their hearts sink. So I'm like, that's not the first Starbucks.
Say it just loud enough for everybody.
Occasionally I want to ruin something beautiful.
Tourist train.
But I try. But it's complicated. It's gives people joy. My favorite thing about Starbucks, though, have you heard of the Ashtaroth Ishtar goddess theory?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Here we go. My friends here have. Is that the Starbucks mermaid, which is not a mermaid, it's a siren, actually, is actually a representative of the goddess Ishtar, whose Babylonian sex and death cult would take a psychotropic drug that would allow them to get in states of hyperconsciousness. And you see the tower, right, with the eyes of the mermaid. That's Ishtar there. And so it's this sex death cult where we have all been linked in with the caffeine that they have, puts us, the psychotropic drug opens our minds for the subliminal messages of Ishtar.
Oh, wow.
And so
you got a head full of Hoffman and a...
I just,
Behold a pale horse.
Here's the thing.
Head full of Beatty.
I just think that's fun, right?
Yeah.
That's fun. Would it be great if Seattle was the headquarters for a sex death cult? Yes. I mean, we had Mars Hill here and everything. Right. And what is Christianity if not that? But
sure.
A personal note is Howard Schultz, who is the guy that bought the stores from the original owners, was the CEO forever.
Yeah.
His daughter used to rent at the Hollywood Video that I used to manage. And he tried to get me fired. He didn't like the way that I managed the store. But I really think it's because I recommended Napoleon Dynamite to her. And then for his credit, he would come and rent videos and come in. So I would frequently talk to one of the richest men in Seattle.
It was always the movie Wall Street.
And then I would try to, well, kind of. So I'm like, well, what did you think of Napoleon Dynamite? And he goes... It's just a movie about a bunch of losers being losers.
That's like Trump fast forwards through everything that isn't fighting and blood sport.
Yeah.
Real thing. That's amazing. So tell me if you know this one, because this was news to me. This is from the 1930s. This is Don Ralph writing for Mental Floss. Marion Zionchek. Do you know about this? This is this is funny and then ends in a ghost story. So he served in the United States House of Representatives from 1933 until his death in 1936, and may have been one of the wildest politicians in U.S. history. A son of Polish immigrants, he began his political career as a fighter for the poor and homeless, and was elected congressman as a fierce champion of Franklin Roosevelt's New Deal. While Zionchek's heart was in the right place, his head seemed to be going in a very different direction. A week after meeting 21-year-old Ruby Louise Nix, a secretary at the WPA, Zionchek married her. Their honeymoon in Puerto Rico was memorable. He is said to have joined a student riot, drove through a rich man's gate, lapped up soup like a dog at a restaurant, and reportedly bit a driver in the neck.
Was that his obituary?
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, like...
If you're reading this, but here's a few things I did.
I am very dead now. He and his wife were also admonished for throwing coconuts out of their hotel window. He told reporters that he had invented a new drink while in Puerto Rico called the Zipper, which is made from hair tonic and rum. When he returned to Washington, D.C. after the honeymoon, he immediately sent President Roosevelt a gift package of empty beer bottles and mothballs. J. Edgar Hoover, meanwhile, received a truckload of manure. So basically, this guy just went from like regular politician in Seattle and then fucking went cuckoo bananas, as they say.
Seattle is a city founded by criminals.
Yes, yeah.
And usually the biggest criminal for a long time was the mayor, right?
Yeah.
But it's all guys. I mean, well, people have always lived here, but the folks that came and invaded were all people from the East Coast that were like the second son of the rich family.
Yeah,
or
because the first son gets the business, the second son gets the money.
Yeah, or not even, who had lost fortunes, who needed to reinvent themselves.
Yeah,
and
if it was 500 years earlier, they would have gone into the clergy, but we killed God, so they came to Oregon.
So they would come over here. And there's a great book called Sons of Profit by Bill Spadell. That's the guy who started the Underground Tour. That's really good like that. But it really is like, you look at all the street names and I'm like, there was a weird guy with an awful mustache that did some terrible things that the street is named after.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's Los Angeles, too. Like, there's so many of those where it's some insane fucking name of a guy. You're like, oh, he was the son of a Maryland tobacco fortune, and he fucking decided to build Venice.
I'm from Baltimore, and all our mayors have gotten... we've had like 3 or 4 mayors get ousted. My favorite one is Pew wrote her own children's book and then sold 10,000 copies to the Children's Hospital.
Oh, hell yeah.
And then when she was ousted at the press conference, she refused to answer questions and instead tried to sell her brand of baby clothes.
Fuck yes. The Seattle Statesman and his bride made more headlines after a crazed 70-mile-per-hour drive up Connecticut Avenue in Washington, D.C. that ended when he parked his car on the White House lawn. He also took a drunken frolic in the fountain. With his sanity in question, Zajanček was sent to a sanitarium for a short time. In 1936, with most of his political support gone, he launched an independent re-election campaign. His prospects of winning were dwindling, and on August 7th, a discouraged Zajanček wrote a farewell note and threw himself out the window of what is today the Doubletree Hotel, formerly the Arctic Building. Yeah, that's
the Arctic Hotel is fantastic.
Oh, is it?
I recommend check it out.
Nice. So yeah, a congressman jumped out the window there, and apparently he landed next to his wife, who was waiting for the car. Just like, ooh.
She was like, "I thought you were going to take the elevator."
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And then she looks to the camera.
I thought you'd bounce back. Yeah. Have you heard that one? I was like, that seems like prime tour guide.
I haven't heard that. There's so much you could do, right?
Yeah.
And I also, I'm following the tradition of we do this free walking tour, and I'm almost generational, of like I started with the script and it evolved, but it is like how do you and there's the thing, I don't know if you experience that, you do the fun jokes and stories, and then you are standing in Pioneer Square where people have always lived, and then you talk about the genocide, right? Like, hey, fun stories.
Yeah.
Now let's talk about this. And I have there's been 3 times where people have just left, during the genocide.
This is woke.
And I actually had one guy. So we're not here for critical race theory. And I was like, yeah, but you did sign up for a tour, a history tour.
Yeah, you're in America.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Yeah. And it's really kind of how it go, but I can see people like, oh, there goes my tips.
Yeah,
because I'm telling human stories here.
Yeah, with mine, it's people will often say, "Why are all the roads here in Spanish?" And I have to be like, Los Angeles used to be Spain, and then it was Mexico. Really? And these are Americans. You know what I mean? Like, it'd be one thing if it was people from other countries that didn't know that, but I'm like, yeah, man, like this whole shit was Mexico, brother.
Well,
like,
we kind of deserved what's happening to us right now. We have
100%.
dumbed ourselves into a corner.
I'm pretty, in the tour, I just kind of heads up. And I have had people, though, like, especially some private tours, be like, hey, can you take us so we don't see homeless people? And I'm like, no.
You can go to Utah.
Yeah, you can go to Central Oregon.
Yeah.
Drive through the mountains.
Yeah.
Because there's a point I talk about all the great things to do in Seattle. And one of them is we have a great drag scene here.
Yeah.
And I will see people get uncomfortable when I just say drag, right?
Yeah.
But other people light up, and so I shout out Jinx Monsoon.
Oh,
whatever,
see, that's, I've gotten this to this point where I'm just like, in a situation like that, I would just fuck with them and be like, and if you go, you're going to catch it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I would fuck with them.
Well, I do think, because we do the free walking tour, right?
Yeah.
So the kind of hope-based business model. And for a lot of, there's 2 types of people that do free walking tours. One is they're like, oh, we can totally make this guy work for free.
Right.
But hopefully I'm charming enough to soften their hearts.
Yeah.
And then there's other people who are kind of world travel. I love a solo traveler, especially from Taiwan or from one of these places that, it took them a while to get here, because they're going to be curious and wonderful and get it, right?
Yeah.
And off season is just amazing. I had a bunch of kids from Belarus a few months ago.
Oh, nice.
And they were fantastic. But of course, what's his name is ruining everything, because we used to have a lot of great families from Mexico City, right?
Yeah.
And then some casual people from Canada. And now there's so many more people from Florida who wandered off the cruise ship before it went to Alaska.
Yeah.
Did you say there's a ghost story with this?
Oh, yeah. The splattered congressman supposedly haunts the 5th floor of the Arctic Building.
I could totally.
They said, yeah.
Oh, I think I think we all have, like, fun. I took you through the rendezvous.
Yeah. Tell them about that. Yeah, I was going to ask you guys, like, what's your favorite shit to show people? Because
I think I've like mentioned this on it's an old jewel box theater. It's in an old vaudeville place, and the downstairs was a speakeasy, but not in like mixologist. I've got a leather. I'm a alt-right looking dude with a leather apron.
We're doing moonshine Sazeracs tonight.
But it was like legitimately a speakeasy that like they talk about people moving bodies through the basement because the front part of the basement is like the front part of the basement's where we like put on comedy shows and put on a comedy show every Sunday, but like the back part of the basement is there's just doors with a hole in the ground, or just like you can see where like it's always bad vibes. It's always scared me.
Back when I did a show there, when I did Magic Hat for years, sometimes if I didn't have enough actor, I just want to do something, I would take them to what I called the gurgle hole. So I would take the whole audience back through that part, and they would just look at the gurgle hole and come back.
It's just
a big hole with there's just gurgling noises coming from it.
Oh, good. Okay, yeah.
But like,
did you ever see the gurgle hole?
Oh yeah, it's not a place I'll ever go.
Yeah,
because the fact that it's even there still bothers me. That's something you could just fix.
Next time you come out,
But the thing is that like I've held like parties there, and I forget like. I need to know if y'all have experienced this in your time there. I'd like gone down there because I was just doing like one more walkthrough to make sure it picked up all the glassware, and I'm down there. It's like completely empty. The room feels completely full of people.
Yeah,
I don't know how to explain it, but the room just feels.
Sometimes
completely full.
You feel the audience that isn't there.
Yeah.
Which maybe is why having just a show of 6 people there is sometimes fun.
Oh, yeah.
Because there are more. And that is, I mean, Seattle, used to have 300 vaudeville theaters.
Yeah, I was going to say, and shout out to Ken Burns' Prohibition. I know all about Roy Olmsted, who kept this city well fucking oiled during Prohibition.
There was a couple bars downtown. I was friends with this guy who was a promoter. His family was they were old Greek money that lived here forever, and he bought one of the clubs in Pioneer Square because his dad told him that there was actually a second club underneath of it, and they just had to excavate the floor and they could make it into a 2-story club. Well, it was a part of a tunnel as well that ran through old Seattle, but it was the booze route.
Yeah.
So it's where they would bring the booze up, store it. They would have parties in this place. So when he was doing the retrofitting and putting new walls in and shit, they also opened up a locker that was just full of clothes and bones. So
fucking nerd got shoved in the locker.
So he was like, this is where they hid bodies.
Yeah.
Like,
Miss Allison, you forgot to give us homework. Fucking nerd, and they never let him out. Yeah.
one suit and one set of bones.
The Rendezvous also had, I was just going to say the last thing, the bartender at Shorty's, the pinball bar next door, told me about him going to the Rendezvous in the late 80s and early 90s when it was still rough and tumble, because it used to have holes all through it. I remember the first time I held a comedy show there, I had Derek there. It's back when you would book the show and they would give you a case of Pabst as part of like a and then you're like, you didn't, like, the guy showed
green
me
room,
the guy showed me, he's like, you don't even have to go all the way back to the green room. There's a hole in the wall that somebody kicked through so you could reach back for a beer without having to go back.
Wow.
But the guy told me next door that it was so rough and tumble back in those days. There was a guy who there would be fights and stuff all the time, but the bartender told me about like the legendary person from the neighborhood. He was a dude covered in scars from being like cut open, and like he would go into the Rendezvous, he would open his switchblade before going in because he needed to be ready. He had my favorite name, and I don't know if y'all know this guy. His name is Midnight Mike.
Oh shit. Okay.
Oh my God. So it sounds like that place was haunted by living people. One of the yeah.
Is that our next failed comedy show? Midnight Mike at the Rendezvous?
Hey, there you go.
Just as haunted.
There we go. This is the last thing that I had. This is Vernita Vergara writing for the lineup. And tell me if you've heard this, because this just tickled me pink. In late March of 1954, people from the town of Bellingham, Washington, began spotting dings in their windshield. Residents reported the damage to the police, who theorized it to be the work of vandals and their BB guns. And had that incident remained confined to Bellingham, perhaps that would have been the end of it, but it did not. Reports of windshield pitting soon spread to nearby towns like Seattle, and by mid-April, newspapers began covering the so-called pitting epidemic.
Which minority did they blame it on?
More and more reports of windshield damage came flooding in. The concern reached such levels that motorists stopped police cars in the middle of the street to submit reports, and soon escalated to assistance being required from Washington Governor Arthur Langley, hey now, spelled different, but and President Dwight Eisenhower. So someone wrote Eisenhower a letter that, like, the entire state of Washington's children have been militarized against windshields, and they're shooting with BBs.
They've always hated kids in this town.
Yeah. So while the initial hypothesis of hoodlums vandalizing cars with BB guns was perhaps the most logical of theories to come, many people refused to accept it. The damage was so widespread it couldn't all be the result of vandalism, surely. However, alternative theories, while much more appealing to locals, weren't any more believable. One such theory revolved around a new radio transmitter at a nearby naval station. People believed that the sound waves were causing physical oscillation in the glass.
Oh my God.
So that's theory one.
I love it.
Others thought that the dings in the windshield were caused by cosmic rays or fallout from hydrogen bomb testing nearby. Those ideas sounded interesting in theory, but when pressed to explain how either could have caused damage, nothing materialized. And perhaps most astonishing of all, some people thought that the pits were the result of hatching sand flea eggs. Never mind that it was highly unlikely that any insect or its eggs could survive the windshield manufacturing process. Nevertheless, some reported seeing glass bubbles form right before their eyes, believing it to be the work of the sand fleas.
Wow.
What's going on with the sand fleas here? I didn't quite get that part. They're just saying it's like the fleas bore into the glass and then their eggs hatch and they come out, I guess, is
Where
the
would
idea.
just because the glass is made out of sand at some point.
Yeah. They love it. That's their natural
White
environment.
people were so inconvenienced by sand fleas at one point. They were like, what I know about sand,
Yeah.
it's got fleas in it.
Given the widespread reports, law enforcement officials launched an investigation. They looked at 15,000 cars in the state of Washington and found that more than 3,000 had sustained damage. But as their investigation continued, they reached the conclusion that the damage was neither the result of vandalism nor nuclear fallout. Instead, officials concluded that the pits and dings had always been there. People had just started noticing them. Sergeant Max Allison, a representative from the Seattle Police Department Crime Laboratory, famously stated that the windshield pitting reports were 5% hoodlumism and 95% public hysteria. And today, most people consider the Seattle windshield pitting incident a textbook example of mass delusion.
They're pitting the windows. They're damaging the cars.
They're eating the dogs and the cats. Yeah. Although natural windshield pitting had been going on for some time, it was only when the media called public attention to it that people actually looked at their windshields for the first time and saw damage they'd never noticed before.
Wow.
So yeah, like the entire fucking state, because again, as we've stated,
Washington is a people.
We've stated this many times on the podcast. It's not even just limited to this state. It's just there used to be so much less to do. And so now, in the 50s, it was like, well, we could either go home and go to sleep or get really nervous about a crack in my windshield. So let's do that.
Robots are coming.
Right. But as tempted as I am to say that, at the same time, there are people who are, posting on Facebook right now being like, child predators are leaving notes on our cars. And you're like, no, that's not happening. I don't know what you're talking about.
So this was like the Pizzagate stuff, right? So,
Right.
Yeah, I'm on Nextdoor only for the coyote sightings.
Oh, yes.
Because I'm a big fan of that. There's currently a family of coyotes that lives in Westlake Cemetery, or Lakeview Cemetery, which is where Bruce Lee is buried. And then also half of the criminals, and supposedly a beloved horse whose grave marker was done. And so if you're there at night, you sometimes can see the horse wandering around, the ghost horse. There's also a guy who's buried there who supposedly was a big fan of Little League games, was a supporter and everything. And so his ghost will show up at various Little Leagues and just cheer the kids on.
I wonder if he ever saw the guy from the obituary play in one of his horrible games.
Yeah.
I got beamed in the face.
Yeah. Ooh, it was hilarious. Yes.
We're doing a.
He deserved what came to him.
This kid went down so hard. I don't know why he's
we're
Paul
doing
Bearer
a
now.
cemetery tour for my birthday.
Oh shit!
Oh, nice.
Gonna
I
be
was
fun.
going to invite you, Andy, later.
You got any other weird Seattle history stuff to share with the folks? Anybody?
I mean, I born and raised here,
Yeah.
and my dad was deeply involved in the mob.
Is
at
that
the
true?
time. Yeah, it's very
yes.
true. So there's a lot of dead people around here that all of them mob related. I mean, this city was mob, sex work, and porn.
Yes.
Up until about 88.
Yeah.
It was mostly just gross, dirty. My cousin and I left Christmas Eve one night because we were doing a family thing, and he's like, let's go to the Apple Theater. The Apple Theater was on First Avenue. It was like right next to the Pike Place Market, and it was an adult theater.
Yeah.
We'd never been there before, but we just bought a ticket for a movie and sat in there in our fucking suits, just watching guys just furiously masturbating on Christmas night. Both of us had a hot tea we brought with us and just sat in this theater.
Oh no!
And he was loving it, but I'm like, this is really the shittiest, creepiest way to spend Christmas.
Yeah.
But it's way better than spending it with my family.
Hey.
But the city was just dirty and grimy, but it was also full of character.
And beautiful.
And like it had a ton of character. Like, my aunt owned a wig shop right next door to that theater that they had to burn down because it was full of lice at one point, and it was the wig shop that all of the sex workers shopped in,
You were gonna say because it's like Goodfellas, like then we lit a match. Like lice
sure.
actually a good reason.
No, they rebuilt it and filled it with wigs again. Same thing. They can't stop doing the same behavior. But then, at the same time, they were on Pier 34. Like that's where they found my dad's best friend and his wife, the Crabtrees. Police dredged them out of the water because they were tied to cement blocks.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah, that shit. Seattle's before it was fun and grungy.
Yeah.
It was
Always been fun and grungy.
It was a fucking creep fest.
I did the walking tour of Portland, and I assume Seattle's probably the same way, where this was a logging town. The lumber industry was the thing that built Seattle. And our tour guide pointed out, they were like, the best way to tell how dangerous a place is to look at the census and look at the ratio of men to women. And Portland at least was like 9-1, like around the time it was founded. So I imagine Seattle's probably similar.
It was 70-1.
It was 70-1?
It was 70-1.
Shit.
There was a guy named Asa Mercer. He was this handsome, college-educated smooth talker. And he would go to the East Coast, to Boston and various places. And this was, post-Civil War, so there were a lot of like widows or people who'd left their fathers. Mm-hmm. He'd take these women, he'd talk to them about the possibility of Seattle, of all these things, and then would load them on a boat. And then the Panama Canal was not a thing at that time.
Yeah, no.
So they would go all the way, they'd stop at Panama, and then they would go across the other side and go.
Fitzcarraldo,
and then they would stop at this beautiful metropolis full of possibility and sunshine, and that was San Francisco, where they would not be allowed to leave the boat.
Yeah, because
they would go into the gloom and end up in this gloomy city where the sun had been stolen, and be like, oh, here you go, you got your pick of weird beardos to go.
Yeah,
and there were 3 women that said nah, and then just walked. Went east. But they had but it was wild. And then of course they'd bring in the seamstresses, which was the term for prostitutes. But this was wild. This town was haunted and weird.
It burned down.
It did burn down, and it became a better city for it. And I have maybe saying, hey, it might be time.
It became a better city much later. After that.
Well, I mean, at least they were able to have toilets because they raised the city off the water table.
Yeah.
But if you want to see Seattle at its coolest, there's on YouTube, there's Kolchak versus the Night Strangler.
Fuck yes. Oh, that's such a good movie.
So great. And that, shows it when it was this wild red light.
God, it's so fucking
district.
Cool.
So
hell yeah.
Well, so welcome to Seattle. Seattle free walking tours. If you're out here,
plug it. Tell the people.
Ask for Emmett.
Yeah, what's the name of
the tip?
What's the name of it?
It's Seattle Free Walking Tours.
Seattle Free
or
Walking
Walk
Tours.
Seattle.
Walk Seattle. Seriously, yeah. Yeah,
It's,
you can get some laughs, get some information. Come on out.
Yeah,
if you're in
I'm
Seattle.
not very funny. I'm serious, and I will hold your hand the entire time.
Okay, all right. Nice.
Tip big.
All right. Well, yeah, and tip big, and if you need the halfway dumbass tour of Los Angeles, you can come see me.
I'll take that, and I'll
Hell
sit.
yeah.
So you drive a bus, right?
It's a van. It's a van. It's an unmarked minivan with a leather interior.
Oh wow! And so take Rivers tour.
If you
sit
have
behind him, smell his hair the whole time.
Absolutely, yeah. It's a lot more money to smell my hair, though. It's not a free tour.
Yeah. To smell my hair, it's a suggested donation.
Feels are free.
Yeah.
You could just do it, though.
You could, but remember, even if it's free, there's an emotional cost.
The settlement was named Seattle, after a friendly Indian chief. Seattle, however, was a mispronunciation of the chief's real name, Sealth. 5 years later, when local Indians were removed to a reservation, Chief Seattle spoke this solemn warning: "Let the white man be just, and deal kindly with my people, for the dead are not powerless."
Yo, we have time for just one more segment. And of course, this is our jam of the week. Oh my gosh, you can hear it now ringing out over the Cascades across the Emerald City. It's hometown heroes Soundgarden with a song that I can't believe we haven't done yet. Black Hole Sun off of their 1994 record, Super Unknown. So first of all, I don't know, so here's the LA tour guide thing for you. Chris Cornell is buried right next to Johnny Ramone on one side and goddamn Tony Scott on the other side.
Wow.
Murderers Row. Hollywood Forever. Three of my favorites. Boom, boom, boom. Ramones, Tony Scott, killing it.
I remember the thing from this video that sticks with me most. There's an old guy in a top hat.
Yes.
And then his head warps into something.
There were so many YouTube comments of just people being like, I should not have watched this on acid, man. My brain ain't been the same since 94, man.
I imagine it's just what doing acid at Bumbershoot in 93 was.
Yeah. So this video has 285 million views, 88,478 comments, and I read every goddamn last one of them. So now, let us briefly dive down into the YouTube comment section for Soundgarden's Black Hole Sun. First up, and I love this lady, she is cutting the leash loose. Dory Steen Wilson 4 years ago. Get drunk, husband Jason. You deserve it.
Love it.
A lot happening there. I don't know if she's being sarcastic because her husband keeps going out and getting drunk, or if these are genuine words of encouragement. But either way, we're here for it, Dory.
Weird place to go for help, though.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you and there's periods, by the way. Each word has a period after it. So it literally says drunk, husband, Jason, letter U. Deserve it.
Somewhere a killer has been activated after saying that. That's not that's just the
the Washingtonian candidate. Yeah. Beam 6 years ago. This is my first drunk song. I sang it as I slayed noobs on Halo 3 in 2007.
That guy's a real estate attorney now.
I know, yeah, totally. This is from 6 years ago. He is absolutely getting a guy evicted from his fucking property so he can paint over it and rip someone else off right now. Miguel Martinez 4 years ago. My dad used to sing this song to me, except he changed it to "Asshole son, won't you come? Bring your dad a beer, asshole son." It's like, Miguel, you need to talk to a therapist if you're not already.
That is.
Also, his friends are always like, you should do an open mic.
Yeah. It's one of those.
You're good.
This is the guy who loses. He gets last place on his fantasy team and has to do stand up, and that's his big closer.
This is what the Weird Al movie has. It's like Weird Al is throws it down. He's like, I'm done. He picks up in the corner and just storms out the door. I'm gonna write good parody music.
Michael Shane Reynolds 7 years ago. I don't give a shit about my haters at all. Go ahead. Call my ex bitch. And then he has the full phone number there. LOL. We talking.
Wow.
It's like, I feel like you're not going to be talking after people from YouTube start calling this person.
So this is
Yeah, I just didn't include it because I'm a decent
no.
person.
I'm just like, oh, we should try that later.
Yeah. Well, we'll find
you
it
on YouTube.
Yeah.
You big Soundgarden fan?
Yeah. Well, we saw your ex on YouTube. What do you know about Michael Shane Reynolds? Is he still around or is he dead?
She's like, hold on, I have my baby. I have to put it to sleep. This is insane. But anyways, yes, let's talk more.
It is almost like this is a black hole. This is where
I'm telling you.
where all of the awful things are in the center there in this YouTube.
Oh my God, yeah. Snake Attacker 12 years ago. Great name. Chris Cornell is my cousin. I'm Luke Cornett. He's in my bloodline, and our last name, my is Cornett. His is Cornell. Cornett, Cornell. Look it up. I am his cousin.
Cat's up?
It's like that's not how this
There was
works.
just no.
Also, wrestling used to be out in dirt.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. This damn music video is an outlaw mud show.
These kids flipping back and forth.
With your flippy doos. Love this name. To you, Apocalypse Now.
Wow.
Not to Apocalypse Now. To you, Apocalypse Now. 4 years ago, I just had an amazing mushroom trip, and this video has mushroom influence written all over it. Psychedelics show you some very deep yet sometimes scary shit. But now, music videos are just everyone does Molly and half-naked bitches dancing like whores.
Whoa.
I was like, the 90s had that too.
I like how it gets aggressive near the end.
I love a guy who's just bliss the fuck out up top and then just hard reactionary at the end.
I love the hippie to incel pipeline, right?
Yeah,
the
yeah.
hippie to
Yoga to
MAGA
QAnon.
there.
Yeah.
I like that old people reminiscing and getting angry now has like such specific 90s references.
I used to do shrooms.
I throw my pog slammer at my kid if he tried to do Molly in here.
Yeah.
He'd try to play dubstep for me, and I'd throw a friendship slap bracelet at him. I said, we used to have friendship and fun back in our days.
Got a couple more here. This one is R.S. Sanchez from 2 years ago. To the girl named Rose Jaru. She lives in Tucson, Arizona. Her antagonistic ways took away my fairy tale life. Said I just couldn't find the passion. I never forgot that villainous whore, Rose Jaru, and what she cost me. I miss them friends, especially my beloved ex. Rose Jaru gave me a dark faith. How antagonistic took away my life. Hell yeah. Hell yeah, man.
Wow.
That detestable Rose Jaru that lives in all of us.
And he's
telling us we can't do it. Telling us our dick don't get hard enough anymore. Telling us that we're a burden on society.
Rose Jaru.
Hey, every Rose Jaru has its thorns Jaru.
Well, this guy is the thorn, and she pulled it from her heel and kept moving. And good for you, Rose Jaru.
And
Yeah,
he's handled
good
Rick
for
Sanchez,
you.
So.
Rose Jaru.
That seems like a children's book that we could sell.
Yeah.
Good for you, Rose Jaru.
Good for you.
Rose Jaru Garden.
Jaru.
It's Amelia Bedelia sequel, Rose Jaru.
Is there something about Chris Cornell and like Soundgarden fans? They're like, yeah, I really connect with Soundgarden. And Chris Cornell's like, I think it's important for you to put out the information about your ex too.
These are
Good for you.
the
Rose Jaru.
yeah.
I met her at the circus.
Yeah.
On the midway, the fat lady was playing a trombone.
We were sitting on Naugahyde, twirling sizzle sticks in the back of Norm's.
I was hitchhiking by the municipal airport. Covered myself in grease, waiting for a hitchhiker named Rhonda.
I was pulling dead people out of the water with cement shoes.
I fell down 19 stairs.
You know what they say? Tom waits for no one. So. And I'm out.
This one is JDJ, and I have a suspicion that the J stands for Jeff. So yeah, JDJ from 1 year ago.
So that's Jeff to Jeff.
Jeff to Jeff.
Jeff
the most French Jeff ever.
Me, Jeff to Jeff.
It's Jeff Double Jeffries.
It's double Jeopardy.
Who is it you talk about in your songs? Is it Jeff, or is that a no-go? What is the inside scoop? Do the two of you not get along? Do you butt heads? I've got a suggestion, and it works. Use Kung Fu against your rivals.
Jesus.
So Jeff is asking the now deceased Chris Cornell if he's talking about him in his song from 1994. And if so, if he wants to fight in heaven.
I mean, that's all heaven is. If the Bang energy drink taught me anything, heaven is where you get to fight God.
When they say everybody was Kung Fu fighting, they mean every realm.
All of us.
Yeah, all 9 circles of hell.
Because we are all God, so everybody was. We are just part of the same spirit being that's fighting itself.
Yeah.
It's like Fight Club.
And finally, Trisha, 4 years ago, my all-time favorite song in the whole world. I used to make my nephew come over and listen to my music since he made us listen to his. This song was played as loud as I could, at least twice, while I kept yelling at him that he had to feel this one in his soul. I promised not to stop until he got the lyrics right, and it took a while, but I finally woke him somewhat. I guess that's why he quit speaking to me. Some people don't want to be woke up, and, well, I guess that's okay too, but, don't say I didn't try to warn you. This was back in 2000, LOL. I come out of my own mother hating the government. 49 years later, I've never once changed my mind about any of these sons of bitches.
My son stopped talking to me when I was throwing utensils at him, saying he wasn't in the spoon, man.
Oh, my God.
I like that it starts off with, I mildly tortured my nephew and ends by being like, by the way, can we talk about Biden and his bullshit real quick?
It got political at the end.
Amazing.
These son of a bitches.
Oh, my God. Well, that is Soundgarden with their classic Black Hole Sun coming straight at you from Puget Sound. Folks, our jam of the week.
Nice.
And Iwancio, where can people find you on the internet?
I'm at Iwancio on all of the sorts of platforms.
Hell yeah.
Find me.
Derek, where are you at?
Instagram at Derek Sheen 666, or you can go to Derek Sheen Rules with a Z.
Hell yeah.
and that's got all my stuff on there.
Absolutely. What do you got?
My poor internet presence is Emmett Montgomery, EMMETT, in Montgomery, the capital of Alabama.
Damn straight.
Instagram, Facebook, and I'm even on Blue Sky. I have 6 posts there and threads and all that. If you're ever in Seattle, I do a show every second and fourth Wednesday of the month called Joke Tellers Union.
One of the best.
You can find me on most forms of social media at Rivers Langley. And hey, if you're listening to this on the day it drops, tomorrow night I'm in Huntsville, Alabama at Levity Live, formerly Stand Up Live. The next night you can catch me at the Dungeon Comedy Club at Covington Country Club in Covington, Louisiana, right across the lake from the Big Easy. And speaking of which, the next night I'm going to be in New Orleans itself at Sports Drink Cafe and Comedy Club. I'm going to be opening for my friend Skylar Higley. He's fucking hilarious. Cannot wait to do that room. Been wanting to do it for a long time. Come out and see me if you're in the South. And of course, best way to support our show. Hey, if you're watching this, you're already doing it. Patreon.com/thegoodspod. You can also buy a shirt. ProWrestlingTees.com/thegoodspod. Make you look skinny on TV. Second best way to support our show, and this one is free. Head over to Spotify or Apple Podcast. Leave a comment, rate, review, and subscribe. 5 stars only. Please show the attitude of gratitude. Because if you do not have the attitude of gratitude, Daddy, you're falling down 19 steps. The Goods from the Woods was recorded and edited by me, Rivers Langley. You can find our show on Twitter at The Goods Pod. Our theme song was composed by Jonas, the Space Cowboy.
This was a Brain Freeze podcast.